number of comedy clubs across Canada and the United States, but I know a lot of people are thinking, especially when I go to offices and I'm doing lunch and learns, yeah, what's in it for us? Enough about you, enough about your comedy, enough about your touring. What's in it for us? Well, I can tell you this. Because I've done 15 years of hell gigs, because I've performed in Staten Island, Boise, Idaho, and Red Deer, Alberta, I've put together some skills from the stage in dealing with hecklers, and I've entitled it Taming Office Hecklers. Thank you, Boise, Idaho. Now, there are 6 types of hecklers. There's the attack heckler, then there's the perfectionist heckler, there's the Debbie Downer heckler, there's the doormat heckler, there's the Cliff Clavin water cooler windbag heckler, and then finally, you know, the know-it-all, finally there's the Barney Fife incompetent heckler. But right now I want to talk about the #1 heckler, the #1 office heckler, and this also happens in schoolyards, unfortunately. It's the attack heckler. And there's 3 types of attack hecklers, and there's the bully. Now, going to school, we had a terrible bully, and this is usually the motivation for bullies. They were usually bullied when they were kids, and he was kind of a chunky kid. I lived in a multicultural neighborhood. I grew up in Malvern, so we thought it was funny at the time when kids said, oh, your mama's so fat when she wears a Malcolm X jacket, helicopters land on her. Okay, we thought it was funny at the time. I'm not going to say his name, but his initials are Jason Fraser. Unfortunately, Jason Fraser grew up to be a chunky bully. He's a big bully. So that's their motivation. As a result, they're very, very insecure people, and their motivation is to defend their point of view at all times. Now, I have the advantage when I'm in a comedy club, if there's a heckler and there's an attack heckler, if there's a bully and they're saying something in the corner, if I can hear them but the rest of the audience can't hear them, it's not a big deal. Same thing with your situation in the office. If it's just a little thing here and there, it's not a big deal. But when they say something that throws the whole ship off course, show us your boobs! Then you have to address it. Because unfortunately, the bad news is you have to stand up to bullies because they don't back down. They pick on weak people. But the good news is, because I've gone through all my hell gigs in Boise, Idaho, where they show hee-haw on the Learning Channel, I can give you some skills. Now, for me, when I'm in a comedy club, right away I'll say something like, oh, I don't know, 20 million sperm, sir, and you had to be the quickest. Oh! Unfortunately, if you use that in the office, you're going to get fired. But you can do exactly the same thing in the office that I do on stage, and that is you isolate the heckler. You set up an appointment. And setting up an appointment actually grabs the attack heckler, the bully's attention right away. The second thing that you do, and it's an old trick, and that's why in stand-up comedy, the comic is always higher than the audience. But it automatically sets up that superior position. What I hate in the office now is a lot of times when they have meetings, they bring you in. I hate the sniper conference calls where there's 3 people on the phone and it's just you. But especially in an office, it can be very intimidating. So the old trick is, be higher than the people that are talking to you. I don't mean higher, I mean higher. Although that maybe helps as well. So if they're sitting down, make sure you stand up, pace a little bit, and hell, you know, bring in a microphone if you have to. Hey, because that always works when you're louder than the heckler. The other thing you have to do is hecklers, they inundate you with information, they intimidate you with information, and finally they interrupt you so that you can't even get the information back to them. So you have to go with your ducks lined up. You have to go in with your information, and it's like any good speech. You go in with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then don't speak. Don't give them an opportunity to cut in. It's the same thing when I'm standing on stage. When I'm dealing with a heckler and I say, sir, you know, this is what happens when cousins sleep together. Oh. Everybody laughs. The heckler has been shut down. I don't go back to the heckler. I keep doing my show. And that way, I've dealt with them, I've stood up to the bully, and I move on. The other thing when you're doing your beginning, your middle, and your end, I deal with the information. I may talk to the guy a little bit to find out how's his date working out, why is he here, blah, blah, blah. But what you probably have to do is you have to bring in information like graphs, like charts, what competitors are doing, statistics from competitors, customer complaints, all that kind of stuff is important, and it arms you as well. In conclusion, it's not easy doing stand-up comedy, but it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it is awful to deal with bullies in the schoolyard. It's awful to deal with bullies in the workplace, but you do have to stand up with them. And armed with a couple little things, including the saying that I love from one of my favorite female comics, Elaine Boozler. I love Elaine Boozler because she has the word booze right in her name. Never let them see you sweat. You can maintain control of the room.